G'day YouTube, I want to talk a little bit now about cameras, okay? I've been doing a real estate photography coaching video series for quite a while now, just trying to help you guys out there who aspire to be real estate photographers to help you build your business or to establish your business. That's kind of been the primary goal, is just about helping people to establish their business. I don't want to get caught into gear wars, and I think there is a lot of ridiculous stuff being said on YouTube and in social media, photography circles, about gear, about cameras and lenses, and what you need or don't need to be a professional photographer. And honestly, it drives me nuts. I've been a professional photographer since 2007, so I'm 10 years this year. The first few years, I really didn't make much money. I struggled. But I was determined to push ahead and make it work. I'm now a fully accredited AIPP member in Australia. I run my own photography business full time. I shoot real estate photography, managed accommodation, and kind of architectural interior photography for a number of clients, both local clients in my area and out of area clients, shooting ski chalets and things like that, which is a fascinating job, and I love it. I love all things architecture, and I love all things kind of to do with architectural photography. So, and real estate's just a subgenre of that. Now, gear, what does any new person ask when they want to start out in photography? They go, "Oh, what gear do I need?" Well, you know what? The first decision you really have to make is, do you want to work for someone or do you want to work for yourself? If you want to work for someone else, then go and get an education, get some kind of qualifications, get some kind of portfolio, and get a job with someone, whether it's shooting news, which is really hard to do now, or any particular job where it requires you shooting for someone else. Now, if you want to start your own business, what you really want to do, you don't really want to become a professional photographer. What you really want to do is become a small business operator. Just, that's how you got to think about it. If you don't think about it like that, you're going to fail, because you need to think like a small business operator, okay? So that's the most important thing. And when you start thinking like a small business operator, the whole question of gear kind of falls to the side. It really, what you need to think about when you're purchasing gear is you need to think about the gear which a professional uses, the features that the cameras and lenses need to have for the job that you intend to put them through, and then budgetary constraints kind of come in last. If you are starting out a bit tight, then sure, you want to go for an entry level camera as possible and get the best lenses as possible. The old adage, buy the cheapest body in the most expensive lenses, and that still rings true today. And there are certain kind of expectations placed on professional photographers. All right, so if you've been a photographer for like a year and you've got a Canon Rebel or a Canon EOS, 800D or something like that, in the equivalent Nikon, whatever that's D7500 or whatever. Or even Sony, Panasonic, whatever. You've got that equivalent entry-level camera, and you've been just taking photos for about a year or 2 years, something like that, and you want to become a pro. Then think about upgrading your gear to a professional standard. Don't just think about getting in with the entry-level gear that you've got. And I know some people will probably rail at that concept, but you know what? Professionals use professional equipment. Craftsmen use the best tools. Think about the old days. A plumber, a good high quality plumber uses the best tools because he knows the best tools are going to do the best job easily, more efficiently, and there's going to be less problems long term. Understand? Same with a carpenter. A carpenter buys the best tools because they know cheap chisels just don't stay sharp. It requires more energy, more effort to get these things to do the job you want them to do. The same is true for camera gear, okay? So, this is what we have here is a Nikon D810. Okay, this is not a prerequisite, but this is a great camera. These actually aren't that expensive. Now, if you think $3,500 to $4,000 is expensive for a camera body, then think about what any other trade pays for their tools. I used to work in the building industry, right? Before I became a professional photographer, I worked in the building industry for several years. And I knew guys, builders, carpenters, who had upwards of 50 grand's worth of tools to build houses. That's what it takes. This is what it takes. If you think $3,000 is a lot of money to pay for a camera body to shoot professional photos, get another job. Really. Don't be such a, seriously, get another job. Tradespeople, craftspeople spend good money on good tools to do the best job they possibly can. And a Nikon D810 will do a better job than a lot of other cameras. It really will. And it will do a better job than any entry-level Canon or Nikon for shooting real estate interiors and architectural photography. Just no bones about that, okay? Now, I started out, yes, sure, I started out light. I started out on a Canon 350D. Now, that's dating me, okay? So that's back in 2005. 2005, I shot my first real estate job as a part-time kind of endeavor, trying to break into the industry. And yeah, it was a Canon EOS 350D. I don't even know what that is in American terms, and it had we had a 10 to 20 mil Sigma lens, and that lens was rubbish. It had the worst distortion, it had worst chromatic aberration. It was unevenly sharp. It was a horrible lens, but it was wide angle, you know. And the real estate agent's like, wow, you can see the whole room in one shot. That's incredible, you know. Back in 2005, that was like a revelation. And, you know, that period in time afforded me the opportunity to be able to start out on garbage gear and, like, you know, just entry-level stuff and get into a industry that was just starting up. That's not quite as true today, you know. Today, there is really good quality gear, which isn't that expensive. And the whole thing is, it's in your head. You have to realize that any good craftsman buys good tools to do the best job they can for the least amount of effort, least amount of work. That's how professionals in any industry work. Okay, that's how a builder works. That's how a carpenter works. That's how a plumber works. That's how electricians work. That's how all those kind of tradesmen work. That's how any kind of craftsperson works. They don't want stuff which is going to compromise their ability to produce an excellent quality product or service in the least amount of time as possible, because time's money. We're in a business to make money. Now, if you want to go into business for yourself as a photographer, you want to make money. Who doesn't want to make money? You want to be a sustainable small business that makes a really good income. Okay? So, anyway, sorry, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked, but gear. All right, so I'm going to focus now just a little bit for the last few minutes on gear. So this is a Nikon D810. This is the first kind of pro camera I bought. This is the first pro camera I bought. Still haven't sold it, still own it. It's a great camera. It's a Canon 5D Mark II, okay? I never bothered buying a Mark III. Mark II does a great job. Honestly, I actually used this recently because this thing was in Nikon's service, and I had to go back to my Canon 5D. Now, this has had about 300,000 shutter whatever they call it, 300,000 shutter releases, still kicking on. It still goes strong. I don't know if it's got a live battery in it. No. Oh, yes, it has. Yep, we've still got a battery in the sucker. So, oh, it's on timer, sorry. Still works. Beautiful. And this did a great job. I did some real estate shots recently, like I said, and this did a wonderful job. You can buy these things quite cheap now. It is a pro level camera. You can put a 5D Mark II or even Mark III on your tripod and shoot for real estate agents. And they'll look and go, what do you got? Oh, 5D. And I go, oh, 5D, that's pretty good, because everyone knows a 5D is good. You know, you don't have to tell them it's Mark II, Mark III, whatever. It's more than enough megapixels. 21 megapixels is fine. You know, 36, you start to really fill up your hard drives, and I only use this on my high-end jobs. All right, so the D810 only gets used on high-end jobs. If it had a better compressed RAW, I would use the compressed RAW more often, but sorry, you know, small RAW. That's uncompressed. Sorry, that's what I meant. The Canons do a really good job of small, medium RAW. All right, Nikon not so good. So I only use this on my high-end jobs, or if I need to crop in. So if I'm shooting wide and I just, you know, I need to crop in, I can't afford to do it any other way, I'll get the D810, because man, I can crop in on this sucker and still get a massive file for a real estate agent. But this camera, brilliant. The lens, 16 to 35 f4. You don't need an f2.8. f4, we're talking interior, so we're shooting at 5.6, f8, f11. The sweet spot for this camera, D810, I think it's between 5.6 and f11, f10, f11. I shoot usually around f8. The same for these. The sweet spot seems to be around the f8 mark. So, you know, an f4 lens, these aren't that expensive, about 1,300 Australian dollars. I don't know what they are in America. $1,400, something like that. But these are the prerequisite, you know. You buy a camera like this, don't buy an entry-level camera and complain that it doesn't have the features, it doesn't have the dual card slots, and it doesn't do the 4K, and it doesn't do the blah, 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 blah. You know, that's ridiculous, you know. I use this camera all the time. Well, these cameras, shooting manually, manual mode, I select my aperture, I select my shutter, I'm taking light meter readings in the rooms. When I'm shooting flash, I'm shooting manual flash. Never shoot TTL. That stuff, if flashes didn't have TTL, I wouldn't care. I shoot everything manually. Manual focus, manual everything. I'm in control of every single part of the photo that I take, okay? So, you know, if you're going to get into this business, this is the kind of gear you want to aspire to. Now, as a side note, these little things are really popular now. See this? I've got one of these as well. I'm not a gear snob. This is a Sony a6000. This is a great little camera. I actually use this on a gimbal, shooting 1080 video on a gimbal, on a lightweight gimbal for real estate agents. And I mean, the size comparison, look at that. That's incredible. I mean, it's great. It's great. But you know what? This feels terrible in the hand. It's so small. It's like holding a phone. It's weird. You know, you're like, oh, it's just small. The other day I was shooting portraits of a real estate agent with the D810, and I'm shooting portraits of an agent, got the light set up, and this was just, it was so comfortable. It disappears in your hand when you're shooting. You don't even notice it. And this size, look at it, it's perfect. For my hand size, for a normal kind of person, average male, this is great. I mean, I can understand how women probably prefer lighter cameras, and there are plenty of smaller cameras. Like I've got a D750 as well, and that's a great smaller camera. But I just love the size of this. It just sits perfectly. It's balanced. This thing with a 50mm shooting, you know, full body portraits. This is great. You know, and shooting group portraits. This is a great. It's perfectly balanced in your hand. Whereas this thing, as soon as you put any longer lenses on it, oh, it's so front heavy and it's not very well balanced. And the problem with this is also the lenses. So, and that's something I'll talk about in another video, the actual lens selections. But the lenses for these, I mean, you've got to be careful what kind of lenses you buy. This is an entry-level lens and it's a power zoom, it's not controllable. You can't accurately control this lens. And that's, you know, if you're going to do something like real estate photography where you want control over your subjects, you need lenses that you can control. It's just simple as that. You need to be able to control apertures. You need to be able to control your focus accurately, your zoom, if you've got to zoom accurately. These power zoom things, they're great for video, but they're no good for architectural photography, because architectural real estate, manage accommodation, you know, what I do requires accuracy on a repeating basis. You want a repeatable accuracy, quick setup, quick shooting, move on to the next, especially real estate, because real estate is like quick, room, this room, that room, shoot. You're in and out of jobs quickly, all right? So you want cameras that just get out of your way, that allow you to control every aspect of the shot, your focus, your zoom, your shutter, your aperture, everything, and get the shots done really quickly, okay? So just some considerations to think about, kind of beginner, you know, entry considerations to think about with gear. I'll go into more detail in other videos because this video is getting on a bit. And I'll talk more about lenses in one video, and in another video I'll talk about bodies and sensor sizes and what's really required. But I just want to leave on one note. Don't be a gear snob. Don't be a gear whore, as some people say on the internet. Just don't. It's just pointless. Mirrorless, DSLR, mirrorless is the future. DSLRs are dinosaurs, they're dead. Oh, come on. Come on, don't be childish. It's like childish, you know, schoolyard BS. Okay, we're professionals. You're a professional. If you want to work for yourself, you're a professional small business. Stop being an idiot and just, you know, if you get into that stuff, just get out of it. Just stop thinking like that. The best camera is the camera which does the professional job for the you know, the best price. Like look at the Sony A9, right? This new A9 that everyone's just you know, they're just fawning over this camera. It's like in Australia, it's like $6,500. And it does things that I don't care about. Honestly, I never use most of the features on that camera. I don't care about 20 frames per second. Who shoots at 20 frames per second? Yeah, sports guys do. Absolutely. You know, wildlife guys, absolutely. Those guys shoot at 20 frames per second. Would shoot at 20 frames per second. Oh, you know, no doubt about it. But what I do, what real estate photographers, architectural photographers do, we shoot slow, man. We slow down. We shoot considered slow photography. And, you know, this old dinosaur D810... this is a fantastic camera. This is one of the best cameras, and this thing will be awesome in 10 years' time. This thing will not age. This camera is timeless. It will almost not age, and I will never sell my D810. Even if this new D850, whatever it is, comes out, I'll sell my 6D, my 5D, and I'll sell my D750. I'll sell any Sony I own. I'll never sell this. This thing's a beast. This will never age. This will take, paired with my tilt shift lenses, this will take brilliant architectural shots that you can publish on billboards for the rest of eternity almost. You know, until they stop, you know, somehow SD cards or whatever, compact flash cards, you just can't buy them anymore, then you have to just retire it. Seriously. Like, when a new D850 comes out, buy a D810. Get them cheap. Because these things are magnificent. Like, yeah, the file sizes are a bit big and a bit unruly for everyday real estate. But otherwise, magnificent. 5D2 or a 5D3 with a 16 to 35 Canon f4 lens, f4L lens. Oh, these are great. Like Nikon, Canon, these two cameras are great. All right, they're fantastic. These things, not really. Not unless you can get the lenses that you can fully control focus as well, be able to control, because I don't use autofocus, all right? I decide carefully where I'm focusing on every shot, but I don't, I don't decide, you know, every shot focus different. No, that would take too much time. I zone focus. I focus in a certain point and I know everything's going to be sharp, you know, depending on, you know, where items are, where things are in the room, how close you are to the nearest object. You soon realize after you've done a few jobs that your focusing pretty much never changes, and you can just kind of leave it in one spot and all your shots are sharp as sharp, you know. So you want lenses where you can control. Anyway, that's enough of this. Like I said, I'll talk about specifics, lenses, bodies, things like that in other videos, but that's kind of an entry-level look at, you know, gear, what kind of gear you would want to buy for your real estate business. All right, any kind of real estate, architectural, interior photography. All right, that's it. I'm out. Cheers.